Congratulations on 30 years being together. That's no mean feat in today's modern music. So, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. I sound really old when you put it like that. but it's been a fun ride, so I have nothing to complain about.
What's it been like for you to look back over the last 30 years? This must be a time of reflection for you. So what's it been like to go back and look over the last 30 years?
I'm not very romantic about the past. I'm all constantly living in the now and looking forward to the next tour, the next album. And as I said, I mean, it's been a little bit of pause to reflect on things. But it's not until we started talking about making this reissue or celebration, rather, of Clayman that you start thinking about and people asking questions that you haven't thought about for 20 plus years, that you really get into that mindset. Because we're constantly touring or writing or recording, so for us it's been like an ongoing journey. So it's quite interesting to sort of step outside for a little bit and look back.
Yeah.
See how little I actually remember.
Going right back to the early days, if someone had said to you that the band that you were forming 30 years ago would still be together in 30 years' time, what would you have said to them?
Well, I joined when I was 19, so it's 25 years ago. But still, I mean, this is the most fun I've ever had with some of the coolest people I've ever met, doing exactly what I love. At that age, I would never have thought, it wouldn't gonna last. For me, it's always been what I wanted to do, and I felt like I will continue doing this until the end of my days. Then I'm at the same time not naive. I know there's a very high likelihood that you won't succeed or be able to make as many records or do as many shows as we are. It's actually it's sort of a blessing in a way. Or we've been working really hard, obviously, but also had a bit of luck when it was needed, and made the right decisions and just kept at it. So I don't know. I mean, it's something I always wanted to do, so I never doubted I would do it. But
yeah,
it's hard to explain it.
Yeah. What's it been like for you going back and going back over Clayman? Like, that album is such an iconic album. What was it like going back over it, but then heading into a studio and re-recording as well?
It's the first time we do something like that. I mean, we've done newer versions of songs. We did Behind Space and Cloud in Shadows back in '99, I think. We have gone through the material, and every time we go on tour, I mean, we look a little bit over the back catalog and then previous years and see what we have and haven't played, and also think a little bit about what works live and what not. Because in the beginning, you don't really think about those things, like the live environment. You just write a bunch of riffs and that you love, and then try to recreate that live, and you've noticed and learned from playing those songs how we want to write. But that's sort of what it was this time as well. We didn't want to just slap a new label on there saying new remastered edition and nothing really added to it. So we wanted to give it a sort of like a more live feel for certain songs, the songs that we normally play live. And it's just a tribute to the songs. It's not really a re-recording. We're not supposed to replace those songs or compete with those original songs. We want to do something special, something extra. So it's actually worth going over it again. And for us, it was really interesting. I mean, I've noticed that on the live set, we most of the time played a few chords wrong and edited some things out that we weren't really thinking about. It just happened over the years. It's been 20 years, and some of these songs we played almost every show, like Only for the Week, for instance. It's interesting what parts, since we're not really listening to our own music all the time, just we play it a lot. It's interesting what parts you remember and what parts actually just fell away.
Yeah. Going back like that, though, going back 20 years, when you headed into the studio to first work on the album in its original form, Did anything feel special? Like, did you know or have a feeling that this album was going to become as iconic as it did?
No, I mean, we just take whatever we learned from the last record and from that touring in between. Now, in between these two albums, Colony and Clayman, there wasn't that much touring, so we actually went fairly quickly into the studio. But normally, that's what we do. That's what we did from the start. And that's what we continue doing now. So no, you don't feel like, oh, this is going to be it. This is like, we don't write music like that, because it's, we write what we like at the moment, and those things change a little bit over the years. And I think for us, I think looking back at it now, it sure put us on the road, and that's where I think we've learned the most, because we started touring more extensively. Actually started a little bit after Colony, and then way more on Clayman, but we still managed to do another record within a year or something. But that's one of the things that I really like with those albums. That's when we started touring, and that's where I think we shine as a band is really when we're on stage. So yeah, seeing it from that perspective, it was awesome. But that's looking back. That's not like when we were there writing it. We wanted to make songs that we knew we could do justice live, and hopefully people will dig it, and that energy exchange would be fantastic. And that's what we hope with every album,
Yeah.
We want to be on stage.
In Flames are such an amazing band live. How have you found this pandemic lockdown where you haven't been able to tour? Has that been pretty tough on you guys?
It's been weird. I mean, the first couple of weeks I felt like I was skipping school or something. I was like, I'm supposed to be somewhere and I'm not, and that feels so wrong. But then I realized that everyone I know, everybody in music, everybody who's a fan of music, everybody's in the same position here. We're all in the same boat. So it felt weird in the beginning, but after the first couple of weeks, it's just a realization that this is the way the world is right now. And you just deal with it. You try to stay safe, and your loved ones, try to keep them, safe as well. So you think about different things, and there's always next year, And we've been around for such a long time that this wouldn't affect the love or passion for what we do. I think it's more a matter of, it's like a non-existing year for most bands right now. And we started planning right away for, we moved everything a year ahead, basically. So yep. It's interesting, though. It's the first time we actually had a full plan for the full year. And, of course, this shit happened. So maybe we should never plan again.
Yeah, we've been in lockdown now for 3 months, and it looked like we were about to come out. Now the second wave has hit, so we've gone back into lockdown. How have you spent that time? Have you found it to be a creative time where you've worked on music at home, or have you just used the time to try and re-energize?
Well, no, I haven't really been productive when it comes to music. Basically, I've tidied up and polished things around the studio I have at home, updated all the softwares and got all the stuff that I wanted to get but I never had time to. But I haven't really, I've written some stuff, but it's mainly just to try out that new stuff works. But I've spent it on, hanging with the family, obviously. I've done a lot of painting, all the things that you kind of miss when you're on tour, all those things. It's been filling my time, but it gets, it gets sort of watered down after a while, because now I can do all the things I really long for, but I can do them all the time, and I can't do what I'm supposed to do. So
yeah.
It's been kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's very inspiring, to be honest. It's not even re-energizing in a way. It's like when you have a break that you've chosen to have, that is different, because then you look forward to. This is just something I was my mind was on touring, and that's something. It's a nice place to be, that mindset, and when that gets taken away from you, the air kind of goes out of you.
Yeah. Bringing it back to the 20th anniversary of Clayman, you guys worked with Howard Benson this time around. Tell us a little bit about why you worked with Howard and what you feel he brings to the album as well.
It's just that we have a great relationship with Howard and his team. We just love recording in the studio, and I love working with Mike Blotnikov. It's just, we know those guys really well, and we didn't want to spend months recreating that first album. What we wanted to do is get more of our sort of live take on existing songs. We didn't want to replace them with anything. We just wanted it to be, a new take on it. And we know they're super efficient. They know how we sound and what we want to achieve. So for us, it was a matter of efficiency and working with really good friends again. So yeah, that's mainly why we wanted to do it there.
There's some amazing artwork as well in the booklet. Tell us a little bit about that artwork and how that came about.
Well, Blake Armstrong, who did it, he's phenomenal. He's a really good friend of ours. He's a fan of the band, and he was a super big fan before we even knew him. And he was meeting us at some show years ago, and had this whole concept of making a comic book about the albums, like one for each album, and we were just amazed at how inspiring he was and creative, and how skilled he was when it came to painting and drawing. So he got to do an album artwork for us, and it turned out great. And Anderson and him worked really close together on those things, and it was just natural for us. When he got asked to do the cover for the new cover for Clayman, he was just like, he loved the idea, and for him it was a special album, I think. So he has been thinking a lot about that already. So it felt natural for us, and we were just blown away by the result, because he does that every day. Every time we ask him, like, hey man, could you have a look at this? And he comes back hours later, and it's just fantastic and so much better than he would ever think. And I think this is the album cover that Clayman deserves, because we were never really happy with the first one. We had many other things to think about. It was like touring, and maybe we felt it was something different. We used to work with a guy called Andreas Marshall, who did original paintings, like I don't know if it was acrylic or oil, but it like real hands-on craft paintings, and we've done that for a couple of albums, and all our colleagues, at least up here, we're starting to using the same guy. So maybe that's why we wanted to do something different. I can't really remember. So when it came out, when we saw the cover at the first time, it was not really what we had in mind or expected. So when Blake got his hands on it, it just turned into the album cover that it should have been.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's so brilliant. And I've got to ask, once COVID is over, what are the plans for you guys for next year? Would you look to do a big world tour, or are you still going to be a little bit careful with what kind of shows you book, because we don't know what's going to happen?
Well, as of right now, I don't think anybody can be certain about anything. And once it's over, we simply don't know. What we try to do is have the plan that we set down. We try to have that in mind when we start booking. And I mean, we already started booking, but since we don't even know who we're going to work with, if the venues are still there, if they let more than 500 people in or 50 people, we know nothing about it. But of course, we try to stay on top of things and have stuff booked. But in an ideal world, let's say this just disappeared, then we would just keep to the plan, just move it 1 year.
Yeah.
So yeah, touring, festivals, touring.
Well, mate, we are
another record.
Yeah, we are almost out of time. So just before I go, I'd love to ask: is there anything you would like to say to your Australian fans out there before they sit down and take a listen to this 20th anniversary album?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. We don't usually celebrate our records. We constantly look forward and look into what we've learned from the past. But it was nice. It was interesting for me to get into it again, and it's fun to have it reimagined on every level. It's remastered. We recorded some songs, and it's added with that little medley thing. Oh, you haven't heard it yet, have you?
I have. Yep.
Oh, you heard it, yeah. These things are like extra stuff that I think is kind of cool to delve into while looking at this beautiful artwork. So I hope people enjoy it. I sure did making it, and I really enjoy it. I'm proud of it, as proud as I was of the original record. So yeah, hope you guys dig it.
Definitely. Well, Bjorn, thank you so much for chatting to us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we do get to see you in Australia sometime in the not too distant future.
Yeah, we can't wait. We were so close. We came all the way to Auckland, but then we had to turn back. So we were almost in Australia. We were in New Zealand, but we didn't make it over. So as soon as we possibly can, we'll be back.
Definitely. Well, mate, you have a great day, and hopefully we get to chat again soon.
That sounds like a plan. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.